الحمد لله نحمده تعالى ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهد له فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده ربي لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد يا معشر المسلمين, as we want to bring about a benefit inshallah ta'ala, and this reminder that we want to remind ourselves with is Al-Hadi. This name, this word, Al-Hadi, guidance. And this guidance, it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah, He brings about guidance to His creation. He brings about the person being guided to the religion of Islam. So among the perfect names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Hadi, the guide. Allah Jalla wa ala, He mentions in the Quran, but sufficient is your Lord. وَكَفَى بِرَبِّكَ هَادِيًا وَنَصِيرًا. But sufficient is your Lord as a guide and a helper. وَقَالَ جَلَّ وَعَلَى فِي كِتَابِهِ الْكَرِيمِ. And verily Allah is the guide of those who believe to the straight path. وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَهَادِي الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. And verily Allah is the guide of those who believe to the straight path. So this word Al-Hadi, meaning the guides. Allah Jalla wa Ala is the one who guides the person to the straight path. So this meaning, as it is explained by the Mufassirin, Rahimahumullahu Jami', Al-Hadi is the one who guides his creatures to know him and come closer to him through doing good deeds. Al-Hadi. As we mention this statement again, we're going to mention this statement again, this words, the name of Allah Jalla wa Ala, the perfect names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is mentioned, Al-Hadi, He is the one who guides His creatures to know Him and come closer to Him through doing good deeds. So this hadiyah, this guidance, it comes from Allah Jalla wa Ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who guides the person to know Him, to understand, and to realize that none has the right to be worshipped except Him, Jalla wa Ala. So Al-Hadiyah, Al-Hidayah, it means showing people to the right path and indicating, as it is indicated in the verse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions in the Quran, and as for Thamud, وَأَمَّا ثَمُودَ فَأَدَيْنَاهُمْ, we showed and made clear to him. We showed and made clear to Thamud the path of the truth. But they preferred blindness to guidance. They preferred blindness to guidance. Nam ya ibadallah. Al-Qatada, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that this verse, it means Allah showed mankind the path of guidance and that of the wrongdoing. He showed them the path of guidance and that of wrongdoing, but they preferred the blindness to the guidance. They preferred to be blind instead of being guided. Nam ya ibadallah. So this kind of guidance was granted to Allah's messengers, alayhimus salatu wassalam. This guidance, it was given to the prophets and the messengers because they guide people to Allah Jalla wa Ala, and they help them become acquainted with Him Jalla wa Ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He addressed the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wassalam. He says, and verily you, O Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, are indeed guiding mankind to the straight path. Allah's religion of Islam. Allah's religion, meaning al-Islam, ya ibadallah. And Abraham alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he says to his people, he says, so follow me, fattabi'ni. He says, so follow me, I will guide you to the straight path. And this is what Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam, he said. And this is pertaining to the guidance, because none of us, if it wasn't for the guidance of your Lord, your Creator, Jalla wa Ala, if it wasn't for the guidance and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, none of us wouldn't be guided. None of us wouldn't be worshiping Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. None of us wouldn't be believing in Him if it wasn't for His guidance, if it wasn't for His mercy, if it wasn't for the fact that Allah has guided you to worship Him and to believe in Him. None of us would be guided. We would be astray. We would be astray. Ya ayyuhal ikhwa. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, he mentioned, so follow me, I will guide you to the straight path. This is what Ibrahim, he said to his people. He told his people to follow him, because really he will guide them to the straight path. And another example of this guidance was that of the man who believed from the people of Pharaoh. The man who believed from the people of Fir'aun. Allah Jalla wa Ala, He captured this in the Quran where He says, Subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَقَالَ الَّذِي آمَنُوا يَا قَوْمِ اتَّبِعُونِي أَهْدِيكُمْ سَبِيلِ الرَّشَادِ. And the man who believed, he said, the man who believed during the time of Moses, Moses alayhi salam. This is what this man, he says. And the man who believed, he said, oh my people. He says, وَقَالَ يَا قَوْمِ وَقَالَ الَّذِي آمَنَ يَا قَوْمِ اتَّبِعُونِي أَهْدِيكُمْ سَبِيلَ الرَّشَادِ. And the man who believed, he said, oh my people, follow me. I will guide you to the way of right conduct. Guide you to Allah's religion of Islamic monotheism with which Musa alayhi salam has been sent. Naam ya ibadallah. So this guidance also includes that of righteous people, that of the righteous people of Musa alayhi salam, of Moses alayhi salatu wassalam. So he says, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions in the Quran, وَمِن قَوْمِ مُوسَى. He said, and of the people of Musa, there is a community who led the men with truth and established justice therewith, just men with truth and justice. So it is mentioned in regards to this guidance. If it wasn't for this guidance, as we mentioned, none of us wouldn't be guided. We would be astray, wandering blindly. We would be astray, wandering blindly, ya ayyuhal ikhwa. So this word al-hidayah, it is of two types. Al-hidayah, it is of two types. Guidance, it is of two types. Number one, al-awwal. You write this down, inshallah ta'ala. Ukhtub hadha. Ukhtub. Write this down, inshallah tabarak wa ta'ala. Guidance is of two types. The first of them, al-hidayah, al-awwal, it means showing people to the right path. Showing people to the right path. F1. The first of them, the first of these guidance, the meaning of hidayah, meaning, na'am, al-hidayah is the one who guides his creatures to know him. Al-hidayah number one, al-awwal. اكتب هذا يا أيها الإخوة. Write this down. هذا مهم جدا. This is something that is important in the life of the Muslim. Is that this guidance is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first of them, the first of this guidance is that the one who, ماذا, he guides his creatures. He guides his creatures to know him. Allah Jalla wa ala, he guides mankind. He guides his servants. He guides his abd, his slave, to know him Jalla wa ala. This is the number one. And the number one of hidayah is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides his servant to know him and to come close to him through doing good deeds. Na'am. Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest. Na'am. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he guides his servant to know him and to come close to him. This is the number one of hidayah. That's number one. So write that down, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Number two is that this means showing people the right path, showing people the correct way, the correct guidance. The siratul mustaqim. The siratul mustaqim, the straight path, the correct way. This indicates in the following verse. This indicates in the following verse, as we mentioned, and as for Thamud, وَأَمَّا ثَمُودْ فَأَدَيْنَاهُم. As for Thamud, we showed him and made clear to him. We made clear to Thamud the path of truth. The path of truth through our messenger, through our messengers. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah, the Lord of the heavens and the earth, has sent many prophets and messengers to guide the people to the straight path. He has sent prophets and messengers to call the people to worship him, to worship Allah alone. He has sent many prophets and messengers. Mathalan, for example, Noah alayhi salam, Nuh, as it is in Arabic, Nuh. He sent Noah to his people. He sent Ibrahim. He sent Yusuf and the likes. He sent many prophets and messengers to their people to call them to the straight way, to call them to guidance, and as well as Jesus alayhi salam, and as well as Isa. Isa was sent to do what? To call the people to worship Allah. Jesus wasn't sent to call the people to worship him. Isa alayhi salam wasn't sent so that the people could call on him, or so that the people could worship him. La. All of the prophets and the messengers were sent to worship, or to call the people to worship Allah alone. All of them, from Musa, from Moses, from Abraham, from Jacob, from all of them, all of the prophets and the messengers were sent to call the people to worship Allah alone, not themselves. They are just the messenger. They are the ones who convey the message to the people. They are the ones who convey the message. They convey the revelation to mankind, to guide mankind to worship in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Naam ya ibadallah. So as we move on, bidhnillahi ta'ala, with this word hidayah, this word al-hidayah, we mentioned two categories or two categories of guidance. Number one, as we mentioned it, we're going to mention the two affairs of guidance again. Number one of them, al-hidayah, means the one who guides the creatures to know him and to come close to him. The one who guides the creatures to know him and to come close to him. That is number one. Number two. And number two. And al-hidayah, it means showing people the straight way. Showing people the correct way. Showing people the correct guidance, the correct way, ya ayyuha al-ikhwa. طيب بإذن الله تعالى. Allah Jalla wa Ala, He mentions in the Quran, إن هذا القرآن يهدي ماذا إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم. إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم. Allah Jalla wa Ala, He mentions, really this Quran, it guides to that which is most just and right. Really this Quran, it guides, it is a guidance. It guides to that which is most just. It guides to that which is most just and right. Naam ayyuhan nas. So this hidayah, it is exclusive to Allah. And no one gives this kind of guidance even to his messenger, even to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So he mentions, really you, O Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, guide not whom you like, but rather Allah guides whom He wills. It is not up to us. It is not up to mankind to guide people. I can tell you about the straight way, the correct way, but it's not up to me to guide you. I am only the one who conveys the information. I am the one who conveys the correct information. Now it is up to you to accept it or to do your research about it so that perhaps you may be guided. The guidance, it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am just the individual that is conveying the information. I am just the individual who is conveying or relaying information to you, that which is straight. I am the one who is relaying to you the information, calling you to Tawheed, calling you to the oneness of Allah alone, to worship Him alone, Jalla wa Ala. This is the straight way. This is the straight path. Worshiping God alone without any partners. This is the correct guidance. This is the correct way that the human being has been created for. As Allah Jalla wa Ala, He mentions in the Quran, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجَنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created the jinn or mankind except to worship me. This is the only reason why you was created. You was created to worship Allah alone without any partners. Naam ya ayyuhan nas. So it is mentioned that Allah Jalla wa Ala, He mentions in the Quran, really you, O Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, guide not whom you like, but Allah guides whom He wills. So this guidance, it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is mentioned, this word, يعني al-hidayah, this word al-hidayah, قال سبحانه يا عبادي كلكم ضال إلا من هديته فاستهدوني أهديكم. This is hadith Qudsi. This is al-hadith al-Qudsi, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, قال سبحانه يا عبادي كلكم ضل إلا من هديته فاستهدوني أهديكم. Allah Jalla wa Ala, He mentions in Hadith Qudsi, He said, "O my servants, O my servants, all of you lack guidance except one whom I guide. O my servants, all of you are not guided. All of you lack guidance except the one whom I have guided." So Sheikh Fawzan, the great scholar of Al-Islam, the great scholar of the Sunnah, Sheikh Fawzan, Hafidahullah Ta'ala, he explained this hadith, Al-Hadith Qudsi. He says the entire servants are astray from the truth except whom Allah guides. The entire servants are astray from the truth except whom Allah guides. This is the one He guides and directs to the truth and makes steadfast. If not for the guidance of Allah by sending the messengers and revealing the books and raising the proofs from the people and raising the proofs for the people, they would have remained in their misguidance. But however, out of Allah's mercy on them, He guided them, directed them, and aided them, and made them steadfast. Allahu Akbar. So this is from the guidance of Allah Jalla wa Ala. The Shaykh Fawzan, he explained this hadith. Ya ibadi kullukum dhalla illa man hadaytahu fastahduni ahdikum. O my servants, all of you lack guidance except one whom I guide. So seek guidance from me, and I shall guide you. The guidance is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not befitting for an individual who claim to be religious, right? You claim to be religious, it claim to be upon spirituality or whatever it is that you are claiming, to come on my platform and say I am an idiot. If you are mature enough, right? If you don't want to be here, you can just leave, be respectful and leave. But for you to come on here and to make statements like this shows you who you are. This shows you who you are. So it behooves the individual to listen. Perhaps you may be guided. Perhaps you may hear something. Perhaps you may hear the truth. And this may guide you bi'ithnillahi ta'ala by the permission of Allah. By Allah's permission, as we mentioned, the guidance is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is mentioned from the first category explained by Sheikh Fawzan Hafidahullah. He says that awwal al-hidayah, the first guidance, that means the explanation, and he mentions that the guidance, that means explanation and steering, to explain and to direct. To explain and to direct. My live just cut off. Something went wrong due to the service. So we will have to end it here. Bi'ithnillahi ta'ala. وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Excuse me for the live. Something was wrong with the service, but we are back now. We're going to be finishing within a few minutes, inshallah. We're going to wrap it up, bi'ithnillahi ta'ala, with this first point explained by Sheikh Fawzan he mentions حفظه الله الأول الهداية بمعنى بين وإرشاد وهذه خاصة. وهي mentions وأول هذه ماذا بمعنى بين والإرشاد. He says حفظه الله, the guidance, that means explanation and steering, guiding the people, steering the people, or directing the people. This is available to everyone. Allah Jalla wa'ala has indeed guided the entire mankind. He has guided the entire mankind, the believers and the disbelievers, in the sense that He explained to them, He guided them and directed them to the truth by sending the messages and revealing of the books. He Jalla wa'ala, He mentions in the Quran, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat 38. Surah 2, ayat 38. And this is pertaining to Al-Hidayah. This is pertaining to guidance. فَإِمَّا, then whenever they came to them, then wherever there comes to them guidance from me, and whoever follows my guidance, there shall be no fear on them, nor shall there grief. Whoever follows the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there should be no fear on him or on them, nor shall there grief. فَإِمَّا يَهْتِيَنَّكُمْ مِنِّي هُدَايَ فَمَنْ تَبِعَ هُدَايَ فَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. And this is in Surah Al-Baqarah. So this is what we want to mention, inshallah ta'ala, in brief. And we will stop here, inshallah tabarak wa ta'ala, wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyul azim. So we will take a question or two pertaining to guidance, right? Pertaining to that which we mentioned in the class is pertaining to the guidance, al-hidayah. So we will take a question or two pertaining to the topic. This will only be pertaining to what we discuss, inshallah. I'll take one question or two pertaining to the guidance. This word al-hidayah, as we mentioned, we mentioned that it carries two meanings to it. It carries two meanings to it. This word hidayah or hadi. Hadi, it is mentioned that al-hadi is the one who guides his creatures to know him. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He guides His servants to know Him and come close to Him through doing righteous good deeds. And the second one is that this means that He showed the people the straight path. He showed the people the correct path, meaning to follow that which He has revealed, to follow revelation, Al-Quran, that which Allah has revealed. He showed them, He directed them, He guided them, so that they can come close to Him by doing good deeds, and so that they can be rightly guided. So this is what we mentioned, inshallah tabarak wa ta'ala. Na'am. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As we mentioned, we have one question or two. This is pertaining to the topic that we mentioned, meaning al-hadi or al-hidayah. Al-hadi or hidayah. I'll take a question or two. If not, we will end it here, inshallah. And we will come back another time, inshallah ta'ala.